Well, Beth and I just arrived in Round Top. Very cool. It's going to be hard to keep Beth focused on...
We are so excited.
We're what?
Excited.
Beth is about to pop a gasket all the way here. But it's going to be hard to keep Beth focused on what we should buy for Mountain View Ranch Vintage, which is our business, and our ranch. So far, she's been spotting a lot of stuff that she wants to buy for the ranch. That's a problem. Hey, Beth and I want to share some tips that we wrote down from our experience at the Round Top Antiques Fair that might make your experience a little bit more pleasant, a little easier, and a little more productive.
Okay, so we're going to go over our tips to make your Round Top Fair successful. Tip number 1, arrive early so that you can kind of drive the corridor, drive Highway 237, make sure that you kind of look at all the venues because they will be set up way ahead of the show time. So look at the venues, kind of look through your catalog and plan exactly where you're going to go.
So that probably is one of the most important tips. Round Top is much like putting your face in an open fire hydrant. It's a 20 plus miles long corridor between Carmine at one end, Warrington at the other, and Round Top somewhere in between. There are a ton of venues and a plethora of vendors. And the best thing that we did, and it was by mistake, is get here early. And what we did is drive up and down the corridor, and we made notes. Hey, let's go to that one, let's go to that one. And then that evening, we kind of prioritized. So the next day, we would pick 2 or 3 venues that we wanted to visit and then kind of deploy that plan.
Tip number 2, watch where you're parking, especially after it rains. Those fields are wet and muddy, and we did see someone actually get stuck, and we don't want that to happen to you.
Okay, that's no joke. Remember, you're out in ag country, and this fair is set up in cow pastures. And in general, the terrain is fairly good and easy to drive on. But if it rains, those pastures get wet, and it's going to be very easy to get stuck. We know that because when we were driving to one of the venues after a very heavy rain, sure enough, there was someone stuck out in the pasture at the Red Barn. So watch where you're parking, and if it rains, definitely try not to be out where you're gonna likely get stuck.
Tip number 3, don't purchase the VIP tickets for the Big Red Barn or Marburger Farms. Marburger Farms is $50 for 2 tickets, and the Big Red Barn was $40 for 2 tickets. We did buy the tickets for the Big Red Barn. We did go in early, but it was not necessary. David and I were in and out of the Big Red Barn in an hour and a half, thinking that we were going to spend the entire day there. And also with Marburger Farms, that opens the next day. So that opens on Tuesday, and the Big Red Barn opens on Monday. You can always go to the Big Red Barn on Tuesday when Marburger Farms opens, and then take the next day and go to Marburger Farms. You're not really going to miss out on that much.
Super important tip, save your money. The ticketed venues have VIP tickets, which allow you to get in before the other people get to go in. And there's a lot of hoopla and pressure around that. In all honesty, after we've experienced that, there's no need to spend the money on the VIP ticket. First of all, you are going to put yourself in a situation where the parking is horrendous. And second, you're going to be standing in one of those zigzag lines just at like at Disneyland, and then finally you get in, and then you've got people pushing from behind and from the sides. It makes looking at things a little difficult. I think one of the advice that you hear from a lot of people is get the VIP ticket so you can not miss out on any bargains. Trust me, this stuff is so overpriced. You are not going to miss out on any bargains if you do not purchase a VIP ticket. That item will still be there. Save your money, don't buy the VIP ticket.
Tip number 4, keep an eye on restaurant hours. Sometimes they are closed on Monday, Tuesday, and if you're here on Monday, Tuesday, you're not gonna be able to eat there. And some of our favorite restaurants had weird hours, like they opened at 11 and they closed at 7, or like Lollipops opens at 8 and they close at 2. And also the Mercantile here in Round Top has definitely strange hours. They open at 8 a.m., they close at 6. So you got to keep that in mind when you need to get stuff at the store, for if you're staying in a trailer like we were, or you want to get water for the day or whatever. Make sure that you're keeping track of the hours. And also on Sundays, the hours are even shorter. So make sure that you're keeping track of the hours of the restaurants and also any stores that you want to go into.
So that's another great tip. Keep track of hours for the local establishments, especially the restaurants. And Beth and I relied on the Mercantile as well. We always believe in supporting local, and we're going to do a video talking about some of our favorite places to eat here in Round Top. And it was a little disappointing for us. We didn't really think about the hours, and we came back from a long drive and wanted to go to one of our favorite places, and we were a little disappointed. Turned out they were closed. It's just their hours, so if you want to go to that place and not be disappointed, just keep track of those hours.
Tip number 5, prepare for traffic, and there is lots of it. And don't be in a hurry to get anywhere. Like, don't be like, oh my gosh, we got to get there because we're going to miss out on something. You're not. Take a deep breath, take your time, and realize that everybody else is in the same beat, and you just want to get there safely and not get in an accident.
Boy, that's a great tip. What Beth and I did is we would pick one direction to travel, and we would pull off on that side of the road and park. And a lot of times we found free parking, and then we would explore venues on the other side of the road, and then cross back over and then continue on our way. That saves you the hassle of trying to cross over traffic and get in the opposing lane of traffic going in another direction. So traffic is going to be horrendous, parking is going to be difficult. Kind of figure out where you want to go and then head in that direction, park on that side that you're traveling in, explore on the other side of the road, get back in your vehicle and continue on that same direction.
Tip number 6, make sure that you wear comfortable walking shoes. You are going to be walking a lot when you come to Round Top. That's all you do. You walk, you shop, you purchase, you walk, you shop, you purchase. Sometimes you get in your car, but mostly you are walking.
Well, enough said on that tip. Comfortable shoes is a must. And I would caution you to think about whether you want to commit your fancy cowboy boots to walking around in a muddy cow pasture. Now, I don't have any fancy cowboy boots. Mine are working boots, but I did see a number of fancy high-end girls out there in the cow pastures wearing those white cowboy boots that didn't look so white by the time they got to the venue. So think about comfortable shoes.
Tip number 7, make sure that you have a list of items that you're looking for when you come here, because there's so much, it's easy to get off track, distracted, and that's fine for a couple of items. But if you're really like we are, we're trying to buy for our shop, we want to make sure that we're purchasing items that are going to fit into our shop and not something that we're going to say, what were we thinking when we bought that?
Okay, that's super great advice, especially if you're shopping for a shop or business like Beth and I are doing. We had a list so that we could stay on track, and a lot of times we would break up and do 2 different aisles, Beth on one side, me on the other side, looking for the items that we want for our shop. Now that said, Beth did pick up some items that were not for our shop, that for her personally, and that's okay.
Tip number 8. I would say if you find a booth that you really like, a lot of their items that they're carrying, ask for a business card, because you might want to wander around and see if you see anything else, and you might not be able to find them again because there's so many venues here. That way you can call them and say, hey, this is Beth, and I was by your shop yesterday and there was something in there I'd like to come back and see. Where are you located? And that way you can find out where they are so you can go get what you're looking for.
So that's another great tip. Get a business card, especially if you're going to think about it and look around if you want to go back. The other thing that I would add to that, picking up a business card, is keep that venue map with you and quickly stop and circle on that map where that vendor is. That way you have a better chance of getting back to that vendor and picking up the item that you were thinking about. So pick up a business card, keep the map with you, make a circle.
Tip number 9, make sure that you carry with you toilet paper, hand sanitizer, and wet ones, because a lot of the facilities that you may be using might not be as clean as you'd like, and they might not have what you need when you're in there.
Now, is that a great tip or what? You know, Beth and I from AMP3, of course, we're always prepared, but for sure have a small bottle of hand sanitizer, a small package of wet ones, and a small package of toilet paper, because it's possible that you might make a pit stop and that little outhouse might not be equipped or have run out of those items.
Tip number 10 is to wear a hat, wear your sunglasses, and bring some sunscreen. Remember, Texas is hot and humid. It could be raining. We just don't know what the weather's going to be, and also wind. Be prepared for that. These are our top 10 tips to help you get through the Round Top Antique Fair.
Okay, that's a great tip. You want to be prepared for inclement weather. Sure enough, this time of the year in Round Top, it's hot, humid, and the sun is out, but the weather can change and it can rain. It did rain. And of course the wind picked up. In fact, there was even a tornado reported not too far from here. But be prepared to protect yourself while you're enjoying Round Top. A hat, sunglasses, and sunscreen are a must. Okay, those are our 10 top tips to keep your trip to Round Top successful and productive.